Hello, my name is Amani Nelson, and I am a certified salon consultant, brand ambassador, or certified consultant. I am also a loctician, and I am the owner behind Rock Your Locks, which is an online directory featuring natural hairstylists. In this video, I wanted to cover virtual retightening classes. The goal of this video is really to speak to those who are kind of on the fence as to whether or not they should take a virtual class or if they should hold off until their salon reopens. So I'm just going to share a couple of things from my perspective as a loctician, as someone who has been offering virtual retightening classes a lot lately. And I just wanted to share some of the things that I have noticed. And I'm hoping that this might help you decide whether or not you should move forward with taking a class or not. So one of the things that I have noticed as recent as last week is that a lot of the students that have signed up had a significant amount of new growth. Comes at no surprise because naturally we were in shutdown. So it's really hard for people to have anything but new growth. So that's something that I want to point out, because as you are learning how to retighten your hair, it just adds on another element, because now you're doing more and more rotations to fill in that new growth area. So just plan to have more time set aside for you to retighten your hair if your hair is past about, I would say, 1.5 inches of growth. For me, my sweet spot of retightening my hair and for my clients is around 1 to 1.5 inches. If you get past that, you just really have to be extra mindful and cautious as you're retightening your hair, because you can easily have joints, which we don't want. It's not impossible to do. You will be taught how to do it if you're going to take a class with another consultant or another loctician or myself. You will be instructed on how to ensure that joints are not happening. So another thing that I have noticed is that individuals have had locks that were really weak around this area. Not surprised, because that is the most delicate part of our head, right in this region. So you have to understand, as that hair is growing out, it can break very easily. So let me try to give you a visual. So you have your lock. This is your lock, the part that has, is nice and secure, is strong, because all those strands have been, growing together and form that nice strong lock. Then you have the new growth area, which is like your loose strands of hair. What ends up happening is that as your hair is growing out, at first when it's nice and close to the scalp, it's nice and strong. But as your hair is growing out, you have more loose strands that are exposed. Well, guess what? If the hair is way down here, you have all of this, new growth area, all these strands that have not been interlocked. It's a chance that they could break. You can lose one strand here, whereas you may have had, let's say, a cluster of strands of, let's say, maybe 10. Now you lost a few of them, and now their lock, is not as strong. So the goal is to retighten your hair as your hair is growing out, so that it's nice and strong at that base. That's the strongest part of your hair when it's retightened. If you go too long, you can imagine what's happening. So that's something that I have noticed with some of the students. In fact, some of the students actually have lost locks. So the goal I should say, would be to avoid that altogether. Now, let's say you decide not to retighten your hair or learn how to retighten your hair. You're going to hold off until your stylist reopens. What you want to do is make sure you braid the perimeter, braid this area right here to keep your hair, nice and, secure, nice and close to your scalp, so that the weight of the locks are not just hanging and dangling. Okay. So that's a little tip in there for you guys. Now, another thing that I have noticed when it comes to retightening is that one of the common things that individuals will tell me before we even get started is that they are so nervous that they are going to mess up their grid. I wanted to point this out because many people are holding off on moving forward because they feel as though they're going to mess up their parting of their locks. I have to say, I have taught many people virtually in person, a lot of my clients, and I have never experienced someone who had taken a retightening class and then come in for me to retighten their hair where their grid was just out of sorts. It just really doesn't happen. Your grid is nice and stable. You should be good to go. Now, not to say that you're not going to have a few areas that need repair, because that's common. Sometimes that happens, because you forgot to do some of the things that you were taught in the class. But overall, your grid, everything, your parting should be secure, should be good to go, even if you are self-maintaining your hair. And when you get back in with your loctician, which I highly recommend that you do, you have to go back in with your loctician for her to do like a wellness check, give you a nice retightening, and she can do any, cleaning up if necessary from that perspective. So don't worry about like your grid being compromised. Your grid should be fine. It will be fine. Another thing that I'm hearing people say that they are like really bad with hair. They're like have no skills whatsoever. Again, have never lost a student. You come in, no skills are necessary. And I'm sure this is the case. Not I'm sure, this is the case for anyone who's teaching a class. You will leave that class knowing exactly how to retighten your hair. You will be empowered. You'll be, you'll have that confidence to tackle your entire head. And I have pictures. We all have pictures to show for it. So don't worry about you not being able to do it. You will be taught how to do it and you will be able to do it with success. So those are just some of the things that I wanted to point out. I'm hoping that it's going to be helpful as you are, making your decision. But just keep in mind the major thing that I would say to walk away with is the new growth. Pay attention to how much new growth you have, because if you have a lot, just prepare to have a lot of time that you're going to have to dedicate to your retightening. And talk to your loctician, your consultant. She will let you know, or she might have an idea, general idea as to when she's going to reopen. Then you can evaluate whether or not it makes sense for you to go ahead and take the class or to hold off. But I do advocate strongly that anyone who has locks should always know how to retighten their hair, just in case. All right, that's all I have for you guys. I want you guys to have an amazing day. Let me know if you have any questions, concerns in the comment section below. And again, I just hope this was helpful. Have a great one.